Welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial, we're going to learn how to cut elastic waistband shorts. If it's something you're interested in, then let's get started. From the horizontal line, I'm going to measure 2 inches and I'll mark it. This is where my elastic will be placed. So whatever measurement I'll be taking will start from that 2 inches, the exact 2 inches. I'll go ahead and measure cut off my waist measurement. Then I'll add half of an inch. That's the only sewing allowance I'm going to add to it for the front. But if you want your short to be quite free, you can go ahead and add maybe 1 inch. From my waist, I'll go down by 7 inches. From that 7 inches, I'm going to measure cut out my hip measurement. This measurement will be taken horizontally. I'm going to draw a slant line from the waist towards the hip measurement. I will also measure cut out of my hip measurement vertically from the waistline. This will serve as my crotch depth. I'll go ahead and extend my line to my hip measurement. The next measurement I will take is my thigh measurement. I'll go ahead and measure half of my thigh measurement on that line. After that, I'm going to draw a curve from my thigh measurement to my crotch depth. From my waistline, I'm going to measure the length of my short, which is 13.5. From the hem of my short, I'm going to measure 2 inches. This will be my folding allowance. You can actually make yours 1 inch if you don't want it to be as much as 2 inches. From the hem of my short, I'm going to measure half of my round laps. This actually depends on how free you want your short to be. Then I'm going to connect my lines from my crotch depth to the hem of my shorts. I will actually mark the same measurement on the folding allowance. On the folding allowance, I like to go out by half of an inch so that when I'm sewing and I fold that hem, they will be equal. Back to my waistline, I'm going to mark the same measurement on my waistline on the allowance for the elastic. After that, I'm going to connect them with a straight line. We are basically done with our front pattern. I'll go ahead and cut out my pattern. To cut out my back pattern, I'm just going to place my front pattern on a new pattern paper. All my sewing allowance will be taken on the back pattern. I'll be adding 2 inches allowance to the back. I'm going to extend the crotch line from my front pattern to the back pattern. I'll also extend my waistline. On my waistline, from the front pattern, I'm going to measure 2 inches, then I'll mark it. From the 2 inches, I'm going to connect it to my front crotch depth. On the back crotch line, I'm going to measure my 2 inches sewing allowance. Then I'll connect it with a curve to my crotch line. I'll also add my 2 inches sewing allowance on that elastic line. I'll extend the lines of my hem and my folding allowance. After that, I'm going to add my 2 inches sewing allowance all around. Then I'll connect them with a line. Once I'm done with that, I'll be cutting out my back pattern. This is how they look like all cut out. I'm just going to label them my front and my back. I'll be using this linen fabric for my shorts. I'll go ahead and place my pattern on my fabric and cut them out. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you get notified when I upload the sewing tutorial. This is how they look like once I'm done cutting. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Bye.